There was a time when the world was different, a time when wisdom was passed down through sacred teachings, when knowledge was not merely intellectual but deeply experiential. In that time, it was understood that all things were connected, that the universe was alive with energy, and that every individual had access to the divine consciousness. It was a time of profound mysticism where the lines between the material and the spiritual world were not as darkly drawn as they are today. Join me as we explore the ancient knowledge revealed by Betty J. Kovacs, the root of Jesus' teachings in this sacred world. Figures like Jesus were not merely seen as religious icons, but as embodiments of ancient wisdom, charming healers, and guides to a higher state of consciousness. Betty J. Kovacs, a scholar, author, and seeker of truth, uncovered this hidden knowledge, secrets that had been buried for centuries. Her work illuminated the roots of Jesus' teachings, exposing a mystical shamanic tradition that has long been obscured by history. Growing up in a world where both religious and scientific narratives shaped her understanding of the world, Kovacs sought to reconcile these conflicting views, finding a bridge between spirituality and the emerging scientific understanding of consciousness. Her journey led her to explore the ancient texts, philosophies, and practices that had been deliberately concealed or distorted, shedding light on the mysteries of the past. Through her study, Kovacs revealed that Jesus was not just a religious figure to be worshipped, but a teacher of deep, transformative wisdom. Jesus' message, hidden for centuries under layers of dogma and ritual, was not about belief in his divinity or the promise of salvation through worship. Instead, it was about self-discovery, inner transformation, and the embodiment of love in every aspect of life. In her book, Merchants of Light, The Consciousness That Is Changing the World, Kovacs revealed how ancient knowledge passed down through the ages in various forms connects us to a higher consciousness. It is this consciousness, this universal understanding of oneness and interconnectedness, that Jesus embodied and sought to share with humanity. What Kovacs uncovered was not merely a theological debate, but a deep spiritual awakening that had been concealed for centuries. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi texts in Egypt revealed hidden teachings that aligned with the mystical tradition of early Christianity. These texts showed that Jesus was not just preaching about faith in him as the Savior, but about a path of self-realization. The true message of Jesus was about awakening the divine within, transcending the ego, and realizing one's inherent connection to the cosmos. His teachings were rooted in mysticism, in the idea that ultimate truth could be discovered through direct experience, inner vision, and love as a way of being in the world. The notion of a rebirth of the shaman is key to understanding Jesus' true message. In many ancient cultures, shamans were seen as intermediaries between the human and spiritual realms. They were individuals who had undergone intense personal transformation, often through altered states of consciousness induced by ritual meditation or other practices. The shaman's role was to bridge the gap between the physical world and the spiritual world, accessing hidden realms of wisdom and guiding others on their own path to enlightenment. Jesus, in this light, was not so different from these ancient shamans. He was a figure who had undergone his own transformation and sought to share that wisdom with others, teaching them how to access the same divine consciousness that he had experienced. In the earliest forms of Christianity, this shamanic tradition was alive and well. Early Christian texts, many of which were later suppressed or destroyed, reveal a tradition of mysticism and self-realization. These texts spoke of the possibility of direct communion with the divine, not through ritual sacrifice or dogmatic belief, but through inner transformation and conscious awakening. Jesus' teachings in their purest form were about self-empowerment, the understanding that each person carries within them the potential for divine wisdom, and that true salvation lies in realizing one's connection to the divine source that resides within God. However, over time, these teachings became distorted. The powerful wisdom that Jesus shared was gradually obscured, replaced by doctrines that emphasized sin, punishment, and salvation through external means. What had once been a path to inner liberation became a system of control and power, separating humanity from its inherent connection to the divine. But Kovats's work serves as a reminder that the true essence of Jesus' teachings, like so many ancient spiritual truths, has not been lost. It was merely buried, hidden beneath layers of distortion and misunderstanding. The story of Adam and Eve, just like Jesus' story, has a common interpretation that is distorted. The tale of Adam and Eve, like many ancient tales, has been passed down through generations, its meaning shaped and altered by the cultures that carried it forward. In its most common interpretation, the tale is seen as a story of disobedience, punishment, and the fall of humanity. However, when examined more closely through the lens of ancient wisdom and spiritual traditions, we see that there is much more to the story than what has been traditionally told. The interpretation of this story, like that of Jesus, has been distorted over time, with elements of its deeper symbolism suppressed or redefined to fit a particular narrative. One of the most significant distortions in the Adam and Eve story involves the serpent. In many mainstream interpretations of the tale, the serpent is depicted as a tempter, an evil being that leads Adam and Eve to sin by encouraging them to eat from the forbidden tree. This image of the serpent as a symbol of temptation and evil has been ingrained in many religious teachings, especially within the context of Christianity. However, this interpretation is not the only way to understand the serpent's role in the story. In earlier, more esoteric traditions, the serpent held a very different meaning. It was often seen as a symbol of the Kundalini energy, a powerful spiritual force that lies dormant within every human being. Kundalini is a Sanskrit word that means coiled or serpent-like, and in these traditions, the serpent represents the potential for enlightenment and spiritual awakening. Just as a serpent coils, the Kundalini energy is said to lie dormant at the base of the spine, awaiting activation through spiritual practices like meditation or self-realization. Another significant aspect of the Adam and Eve story, one that resonates with many ancient mythologies, is the suppression of the sacred feminine. For much of human history, feminine energy, wisdom, and spirituality have been marginalized or demonized. The feminine, which was once revered as a source of wisdom, nurturing, and spiritual insight, became overshadowed by patriarchal values that prioritize male dominance and control. This shift in cultural attitudes has had a profound impact on how stories like that of Adam and Eve have been interpreted. In earlier traditions, the feminine was often seen as the embodiment of wisdom and divine knowledge. Female deities, such as the ancient goddess figures, were associated with creation, fertility, and the mysteries of life and death. The goddess was often viewed as the keeper of sacred knowledge, guiding humanity through spiritual rites and rituals that led to personal and collective transformation. However, as patriarchal societies rose to power, this reverence for the feminine was systematically suppressed. Women were relegated to subordinate roles, and their spiritual contributions were either erased or redefined to fit into a male-dominated narrative. The suppression of the sacred feminine can be seen in the way the story of Adam and Eve was reshaped. In the traditional telling of the story, Eve, the woman, is often blamed for humanity's fall from grace. She is portrayed as the one who gives into temptation and leads Adam astray. This framing casts the feminine as the source of sin and disobedience, perpetuating the idea that women are responsible for humanity's imperfections. This narrative not only diminishes the role of the feminine, but also distorts the deeper wisdom embedded in the story. If the feminine had remained central to the story, and if it had been allowed to retain its rightful place as the symbol of wisdom and spiritual insight, the meaning of the Adam and Eve story might have been very different. The importance of reclaiming the sacred feminine is not just a matter of correcting a historical injustice. It is about rediscovering the transformative power that has been hidden for centuries. In many ancient cultures, the feminine was seen as the gateway to spiritual awakening, as the nurturing force that could guide humanity to a deeper understanding of itself and the universe. By reintroducing the feminine as a central force in our spiritual lives, we have the opportunity to tap into a wellspring of wisdom that has been forgotten but is still available to us. The construction of ancient temples has long been a subject of fascination, not only for their architectural grandeur, but also for the profound spiritual significance they held for the civilizations that built them. These temples, built by cultures such as the Egyptians, Greeks, and Mayans, were far more than places of worship. According to Betty J. Kovetz, author of Merchants of Light, The Consciousness That Is Changing the World, these structures were carefully designed to interact with the cosmos and amplify human consciousness. They were instruments meant to align human energy with universal forces, creating environments that facilitated spiritual growth and mystical experiences. Kovacs's interpretation of these ancient temples offers a perspective that moves beyond the conventional understanding of them as simply religious sites. She proposes that these sacred spaces were intentionally constructed using principles that not only reflected the celestial order, but also served as a bridge between the material world and higher realms of consciousness. The people who built these temples, Kovács suggests, understood the profound connection between the physical space and the spiritual energies that could be harnessed within it. One of the most crucial elements in the design of these temples was their alignment with cosmic energies. This alignment was not random, nor was it solely based on aesthetic considerations. Instead, ancient builders, whether in Egypt, Greece, or other ancient civilizations, meticulously positioned their temples to align with celestial bodies, the movement of the stars, the sun's trajectory, and even the Earth's magnetic fields. This alignment ensured that these sacred spaces were in harmony with the natural rhythms of the universe. The idea was that by being in such alignment, the temples would become conduits through which cosmic energies could flow freely, enhancing the spiritual experiences of those who entered them. A famous example of this alignment is the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. The pyramids, which are often thought to be tombs for the pharaohs, are also believed to have served as powerful centers for spiritual transformation. Researchers have pointed out that the pyramid's dimensions and orientation to the cardinal points of the Earth correspond with certain astronomical phenomena, such as the position of the stars in the sky. The pyramids were constructed with an acute awareness of the cycles of the Earth and the cosmos, creating a space where the flow of energy could be maximized. This was no mere architectural feat. It was a spiritual project that reflected the deep understanding the ancient Egyptians had of the interconnection between the human body, the Earth, and the cosmos. Similarly, the ancient temples of Greece were built with sacred geometry in mind. The Parthenon in Athens, for example, is not just an architectural marvel, but also a temple designed with specific measurements and proportions that align with natural and cosmic laws. The structure of the Parthenon is a physical manifestation of the golden ratio, a mathematical pattern that appears throughout nature, from the spiral of a nautilus shell to the growth patterns of plants. The golden ratio, also known as the divine proportion, has been a symbol of beauty and harmony for thousands of years. It is a pattern that connects the physical world with the cosmos and is believed to resonate with human energy fields, creating an environment conducive to spiritual and mystical experiences. The use of sacred geometry in temple construction was not limited to the ancient Egyptians and Greeks. In many ancient cultures, sacred geometry was used to design not only temples, but also other significant structures, such as stone circles, pyramids, and megalithic sites. These geometric shapes, such as spirals, circles, and triangles, are believed to mirror the underlying patterns of the universe. By aligning their temples with these sacred geometric principles, ancient builders sought to create spaces that would resonate with the energy fields of those who entered them, facilitating a deeper connection with the divine. In modern times, scientists are beginning to understand how these ancient principles of sacred geometry might have affected the human experience. Recent studies on electromagnetic frequencies, which are the waves of energy that vibrate throughout the universe, have revealed how certain frequencies can affect human consciousness. These frequencies, when in harmony with the body's own energy fields, can lead to altered states of consciousness, enhancing mystical experiences and spiritual insight. The alignment of ancient temples with cosmic energies and sacred geometry may have created environments that were conducive to these types of experiences, allowing individuals to access higher states of awareness and tap into universal knowledge. One such study, conducted by Dr. Konstantin Kotov, a professor of physics at St. Petersburg University in Russia, explored how energy fields around people change in response to different environmental conditions. His research used a technology called gas discharge visualization to measure the energy fields of people in various environments, including ancient sacred sites like the pyramids of Egypt and the temples of India. The results showed that people who spent time in these sacred spaces had a noticeable shift in their energy fields, often reporting feelings of heightened awareness, peace, and spiritual connection. This research suggests that the energetic qualities of these ancient temples were more than just symbolic. They had a real measurable impact on those who entered them. Moreover, studies on the brain and consciousness have found that certain environmental factors, such as the presence of specific frequencies or geometric patterns, can influence brainwave activity. For example, brainwaves in the alpha and theta ranges, associated with relaxation and deep meditation, are thought to be activated when a person is in a peaceful and harmonious environment. This may explain why ancient temples, built with sacred geometry and aligned with cosmic energies, could have facilitated mystical states of consciousness. The architectural design of these temples may have worked in conjunction with the body's energy fields to create an atmosphere where the mind could relax and open up to higher levels of perception. These findings align with the understanding of ancient civilizations who intuitively grasped the power of space and geometry to influence the human experience. The use of sacred geometry in temple construction was not just about aesthetics or symbolism. It was about creating a space where the energy of the cosmos could be accessed, amplified, and harmonized with human consciousness. By aligning their temples with the natural rhythms of the universe, ancient cultures were able to create environments that were conducive to spiritual growth and enlightenment. This connection between the architecture of ancient temples and cosmic energy is also seen in other ancient traditions, such as those found in India and China. In Hinduism and Buddhism, temples and sacred spaces are often designed with specific geometric patterns, such as mandalas and yantras, which are thought to represent the structure of the cosmos. These patterns are believed to activate specific energies and facilitate a deeper connection with the divine. In Chinese feng shui, the placement of buildings and objects is done with careful consideration of the surrounding energy known as Gui. By creating spaces that are in harmony with the natural flow of Qi, ancient builders believed they could enhance the spiritual and physical well-being of those who entered them. The idea that architecture can influence consciousness and spirituality is not a new one. It is a concept that has been recognized by ancient cultures for millennia, and modern science is only beginning to catch up with this understanding. Through the study of electromagnetic frequencies, sacred geometry, and brainwave activity, scientists are uncovering the ways in which the built environment can affect human consciousness. The ancient temples, which were constructed with an understanding of these principles, may have been designed not only to honor the divine, but also to facilitate a deeper spiritual connection with the cosmos. Science is beginning to unveil truths that echo ancient wisdom, revealing a deep and profound connection between the mystical teachings of old and the discoveries of cutting-edge quantum physics. Just as ancient traditions spoke of an interconnected universe where everything seen and unseen was bound together by an underlying energy, so too does quantum physics suggest a universe where everything is connected, albeit in ways we are only just beginning to understand. The reality that ancient shamans, mystics, and alchemists once spoke of, an energy field binding all existence, is being reflected in the world of quantum mechanics today. You may not realize it, but every time you stand in awe of the natural world, whether it's the sunrise, the gentle sway of trees in the wind, or the profound silence of a starry night, you are feeling the underlying connection that ancient traditions have always known existed. These traditions held that there was an unseen sacred web linking everything in the universe, everything you touch, see, and feel, and that by understanding and aligning with this energy, humans could tap into extraordinary spiritual and material power. Quantum physics has recently begun to confirm this ancient understanding, albeit in its own technical language. One of the core concepts emerging from the field of quantum mechanics is the idea of entanglement, an effect where particles that were once connected remain in communication no matter how far apart they are. This idea that everything in the universe is linked, even across vast distances, mirrors the ancient understanding of a unified cosmos. The ancient view shared by sages, mystics, and shamans from various cultures was that the physical world was only one layer of a multi-dimensional reality, and that underneath everything lay a vast interconnected field of energy. Perhaps one of the most exciting aspects of this convergence between science and spirituality is the growing recognition of consciousness itself as a powerful force. Quantum physicists are beginning to explore the role that human consciousness plays in shaping physical reality. What they are discovering aligns with the mystical teachings that have been passed down through the ages. The idea that our minds are not passive observers of the world, but active participants in its creation. Betty J. Kovacs, in her book Merchants of Light, The Consciousness That Is Changing the World, suggests that humanity is standing at the threshold of a profound shift. As modern science converges with ancient spiritual knowledge, we may be poised to access human potentials that were previously seen as mystical or out of reach. The integration of ancient wisdom with modern science could open up new dimensions of understanding, unlocking capabilities that transcend our current limitations. Kovacs believes that much like the teachings of the ancient mystics, the truths we are uncovering through quantum physics could radically alter the way we view reality and our place in the universe. You, as an individual, may be closer than ever to experiencing a transformation in consciousness that empowers you to perceive and interact with the world in ways that were once reserved for spiritual masters. The mystery of the universe, the interconnectedness of life, and the unseen forces that guide your existence are all being brought to light in ways that feel increasingly familiar. It is as though ancient wisdom is being validated by modern science, providing a bridge between the mystical past and the scientific future. Ancient traditions, particularly those of the East, emphasize the mind's ability to shape reality. Practices that shape reality, such as contemplative presence, mental imagery, and intention setting, were not just ways to calm the mind. They were, in fact, powerful tools for harnessing and directing the energy of the universe. Mystics as sages understood that the mind was the key to unlocking the deeper truths of existence. Through practices that quiet the ego and open the heart, they could enter altered states of consciousness where they experienced direct communion with the universal energy field. Today, modern science is beginning to catch up to these ancient practices. Researchers in neuroscience and psychology are discovering that meditation and mindfulness practices have the ability to change the brain. Studies have shown that regular meditation can increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, emotional regulation, and higher cognitive functions. It can also reduce the size of the amygdala. which is responsible for processing fear and stress. In other words, by quieting the mind and focusing on the present moment, we can rewire our brains to be more resilient, more aware, and more in tune with the flow of life around us. This is not just a psychological shift, it's a physical one. By meditating and setting intentions, we are actively influencing our neural pathways, altering our brain chemistry, and creating new patterns of thought. The power of intention, which ancient traditions knew well, is now being shown by science to have a direct impact on our physical reality. Intention setting, an ancient practice of directing energy toward a specific goal or outcome, is now understood to have the potential to influence the external world by affecting our own internal state. As you focus on your goals, your energy shifts, and this shift creates ripples that affect the world around you. This is not mere wishful thinking. It is a process of aligning your conscious mind with the underlying energy field of the universe, sending out vibrations that bring your desires into manifestation. Kovats's work suggests that we are on the brink of realizing a powerful truth. When science and spirituality converge, we can tap into deeper levels of consciousness. She believes that as we integrate ancient wisdom with modern science, we will unlock untapped potentials in the human mind and spirit. The barriers that once separated the mystical from the scientific will begin to dissolve, revealing that the truth of existence is far more expansive than we ever realized. You too have the potential to access these deeper levels of consciousness. As we move into this new age of integration, you are invited to explore the vast reaches of your own mind and spirit, tapping into the same cosmic energy that ancient mystics and modern scientists alike are beginning to understand. Consider for a moment how your own mind operates. Have you ever had a moment when you were deeply focused on something and the world around you seemed to shift? Maybe it was a moment of profound insight or a moment when you felt completely in tune with the flow of life. This is not a coincidence. It's a glimpse into the potential that resides within you. Your mind, your thoughts, your intentions, they all have the power to shape your reality. By aligning yourself with the universal energy field, you can begin to consciously direct your energy, creating the life you desire and accessing levels of spiritual wisdom that were once reserved for the greatest sages. We are no longer bound by the limitations of the physical world as we once believed. The convergence of ancient spiritual knowledge and modern quantum physics invites us to see the world not as a fixed, unchangeable reality, but as a fluid, dynamic energy field that we are a part of. The universe is not separate from you. It is you. Your consciousness is not an isolated entity. It is interconnected with the greater whole. The more you understand this, the more you can tap into the universal energy that flows through everything and everyone. As you begin to align yourself with this greater truth, you'll discover that your life becomes a reflection of the energy you put out into the world. The ancient teachings of meditation, intention setting, and visualization are more than just practices. They are keys to unlocking your potential and reshaping your reality. By consciously working with your mind, you can influence your surroundings, heal your body, and connect more deeply with the spiritual realms. In this new era of integration, where ancient knowledge and modern science converge, the possibilities for personal and collective transformation are endless. As you explore the depths of your own consciousness, you'll find that you too are part of this greater cosmic flow. You are not just an observer of life. You are a creator. Through the power of your thoughts, intentions, and actions, you have the ability to shape the world around you and awaken to the divine wisdom that has always been within you. This is the message of hope and transformation that both ancient traditions and modern science are sharing with us. The universe is not a mystery to be solved, but a vast interconnected energy field to be experienced. You are not separate from it. You are one with it. As you awaken to this truth, you will discover a power within you that transcends the limitations of the material world and opens up new possibilities for your life and for humanity as a whole.